Hi, welcome back to Plus This. I am Kathy Deach.
And I'm Nikki Bailey.
And we made it.
We did. We somehow got through this daggone week.
We want gold stars.
Oh my gosh, y'all, we've been through it this week. Y'all don't even know. The fact that we are sitting here able to talk to you semi-coherently is just amazing.
And relatively relaxed.
Yeah.
I feel
And cute.
And cute. I had to do a bun because she was a wreck. Look, it doesn't even make it into the shot.
Yeah, no, I have an extra layer of foundation. And then I actually used foundation as eyeshadow right here because I didn't bring any because my brain's not here. Thank you. You look gorgeous too.
I like our color coordination again. I do feel like this is like my Hawaiian shirt.
I love it. It's very cute.
It is it's like a trench, I guess. It goes all the way down.
It's like a duster.
Yeah. As to her. But it does feel like I'm a dad on Hawaiian Florida
There's
trip.
nothing dad or Hawaiian Florida about you.
I feel a little Floridian.
You look like a gorgeous goddess of Hawaii.
Oh, come on.
You look like Moana's best girlfriend.
Who needs a lot of SPF.
SPF you look 80. Like Moana's white girlfriend visiting from the mainland.
That is so nice. It's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
You're welcome. It's my favorite movie right now.
It's good. You have Moana earrings on.
Do I have on Moana earrings?
They're very Moana. They're the Moana colors.
My niece, who is a year old, is obsessed with Moana, and she carries a Moana doll with her. She wears this big, oversized Moana nightgown, and it's just the cutest thing.
It's really
Auntie
cute.
loves you, Bryn. Hi, baby.
Yes, yeah. I know that score intimately because I had to teach it to children.
Did you?
And it was beautiful until like the 7th school learned it.
Yeah.
And then it was like...
then you're like...
If anyone sings How Far I'll Go ever again to me, I don't know what I would do. I might have done...
See the light as it shines and
now I'm okay.
Behind me.
It's a few years.
No one knows how far it goes.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me that last one.
I don't know.
Yes.
Thank you.
Live your life.
Love that movie. I'm gonna go home and watch it.
It made me cry the first time I saw it.
I have the goddess image in that movie.
Yeah.
Is literally hanging on my wall. I printed out and cut out pictures of the goddess from that movie, and it's hanging on my wall. Yeah, love it.
I know. It's really beautiful. Well, thank God for children. The children are our future. They do make me feel better. Let's talk about things that made us feel better this week.
Yes.
Let's start with, it's ridiculous we say Lizzo every week, but
we do be talking about Lizzo every week.
She is nailing her life.
She is doing the damn thing.
And she makes me happy every week.
And I'm not sick of her album yet
not
at
even
all.
a little
Just
bit.
listen to it as I was getting dressed. Yeah,
Me too. Today I found like a whole new appreciation for lingerie. Like I was like, that song like hit me in a new way today. It was great. I know, it's always something new. We've talked about before, the album itself is just so like no holds barred, like just like it's so full out. So she's not holding back at all.
It is pure. I mean, there's been a meme going around her lately that she is 100% that bitch. And this album is just 100% that bitch doing the damn thing. It is power. It is strength. It is beauty and vulnerability. There's a song about how she's just got a song about how she cries sometimes, but she real cute while she crying.
Even she cries.
And and she not changing herself because she cries.
Don't tell me not to cry. I'm pretty when I cry.
I love her.
Like
She's just amazing.
No, it is. It's anyway, so she had 2 moments this week.
2.
The first one that probably made the most noise. First of all, MTV Movie and Television Awards, like that's still a thing that happens.
I didn't even know it still came on. I am no longer MTV's target demo.
God bless them.
I'm not even VH1's target demo no more. I don't even be watching that stuff.
MTV's target demo though? Because who is watching?
I think it's teenage girls.
They're still doing it,
kids,
apparently.
Yeah, so.
But they had a movie award, and she quite brilliantly did Juice as in homage to Sister Act 2, which obviously changed all of our lives.
Right,
Anyone who sings was changed by that movie.
Absolutely.
I've sung that arrangement of Joyful Joyful at weddings, plural, with a choir of friends because we think we're cute.
You are cute.
Which the falling first began. Yes. The father of love is rising over.
By the way,
Well, have you ever been
Sorry. Okay. Anyway, we all love Sister Act 2, apparently.
And obviously Lizzo
did too, because Lizzo turned it out on the stage.
And they had the exact outfits from the movie.
A complete homage to the movie.
They even said, she said, take off the robes. I was like, oh my God.
Yes. It was so cute.
It's so good. We posted it. You can go on our page and look at it if you haven't caught it. We're not going to show it here because of YouTube jail.
Yes.
But
and then after that, they showed the clip from that performance on The View.
Yes.
And Whoopi invited Lizzo to come on the show.
Well, why wouldn't they?
Because Whoopi was like, as you can see, Sister Act 2 holds up. Yes, it do. Hallelujah.
Yeah, because she must have had, she probably was trying to do a Sister Act 3, and they were like, no one cares.
Right. Sister Act 2 was the bomb.
Do a Sister Act 3, y'all.
Yeah.
Please.
We're here for it.
Anyway, I want Whoopi to have all the jobs. I think she's brilliant.
Me too.
Also, in the same week, there was the Songwriters Hall of Fame. And Missy Elliott, of course, getting all her props.
Missy getting her props.
Hallelujah.
Yes. Hallelujah.
I mean, it's so time. She was gone so long. And honestly, I didn't even, like, I was heartbroken when she was gone. I'm going to be honest. I was really heartbroken. I was obsessed with her and was worried about her. Rumors of lupus. I don't know if that's true. But I was like, really like, is she never going to come back?
And then every time she dropped a track or like guested on somebody else's track, I'm like, is Missy coming back? Missy coming back?
Yes. And finally, everyone came to their damn senses and are giving her these awards like she should. And Lizzo did a song, and that was a Debrat song?
She did it with Debrat. I don't know who actually
was it a Missy Debrat song?
It was a Missy. Yeah, it was a Missy.
I think it was that she like did, and she had the cutest little wig with finger waves. There's a photo of that too.
Red hair with these gorgeous finger waves.
I know, and like and then she took a picture with all of them and Queen Latifah. I was like, what is happening? This is just literally like everyone I've ever loved my whole life in one space.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing.
No, thank goodness, because there's a lot that's a shit show that's going on. One of which,
y'all, they bring in the Biggest Loser back.
Can you believe
these motherfuckers right here?
I mean, have we learned nothing?
We have learned nothing. Oh, actually, what has been learned is that Americans will pay ridiculous amounts of money, go to great lengths, put themselves to all sorts of health risks to lose weight, and the Hollywood knows that. And so The Biggest Loser was this very, a popular show. And all kinds of branding came out of it, and all kinds of really amazing, like all kinds of great merch. So they know that they can make money playing on the fact that, Americans are obsessed with weight loss. And even though we all know that none of it works, that the people who went on The Biggest Loser themselves didn't keep their weight off for the most part.
What I love, though, is that they're like, they have like this much knowledge, like a teeny millimeter of knowledge that this is kind of busted.
Right.
Because in the casting notice, y'all, that I wish only one of our friends got. I had several friends get it.
We had a viewer say that she got a casting notice
and
about
she forwarded it to
and
us.
she sent it to us. Sent it.
And
but since then, I've had several actors friends tell me that they also got the casting notice as well.
So they claim the reboot will have an all-new holistic approach and feature men and women competing not only to lose weight, but also to improve their overall health and well-being.
So we don't think so.
So they know like a little teeny tiny bit that it's busted,
right.
And they're gonna, after torturing someone, play the wellness card,
right.
And be like, "How are you feeling emotionally?
Aren't you healthier?" They'll probably do
better?
Some blood tests at the beginning and tell us, that their cholesterol lowered or some junk like that. But basically, they don't mind presenting America with a TV show where you literally watch fat people try to kill themselves to be thin.
It's literally torture.
It is torture.
What they do to
what
them
they
is
do,
torture.
starving them. I mean, one season they had a whole thing where they had like a tempting refrigerator where I didn't watch it.
They had a table like of a mountain of cupcakes.
Right. And so like
and the person who won got to eat as many as they could after, because that's good.
Right.
I mean, it is so, and you know, it's funny because a lot of people write about this dichotomy of like all the food in the world being presented to you like the best, most delicious thing ever, and then in the next commercial, but you can't have any of that, or if you do, you're definitely gonna have to pay for it with all this weight loss. Like in our culture, we have this like excess of all kinds that they try to sell to us all the time. But you are setting people up for failure, and we can say this, guys, with absolute conviction. And I cut and pasted this study one more time. We've talked about it so many times. The Scientific American picked it up, and there was a study of 14 out of the 6 seasons. They had 14 people who said they would, be a part of the study, and the numbers are abysmal. It's this the one doctor who ran the study said there used to be a mythology that if you just exercised enough you could keep your metabolism up, but that clearly wasn't the case. These folks were exercising an enormous amount and their metabolism was slowing by several hundred calories a day.
Right.
This is the author Kevin D. Hall of the National Institute of Health. He's out of Maryland, and he said their metabolisms didn't speed up again when they regained the weight also.
Which means they lost all of that weight in a ridiculously unhealthy way. And then their metabolisms didn't improve. So they're that much more likely to gain the weight back and keep it on, and plus additional weight.
Or have to, in order to maintain a weight that they're at, even when they gained it back,
they'd have to
have such a crazy low calorie count.
Right.
They literally tanked their metabolisms.
Yeah.
For that stupid show.
Yeah.
And I honestly hope that we get I didn't even see what network. I don't know if it's the same one. I don't know who would listen to you, because people love watching people be tortured.
Right.
So I just hope that, I mean, if you have any family member who's seriously even considering this, I literally want to start like a campaign to stop the people from actually signing up for it.
Yeah.
Like that's actually what I want. I want them to not have any options.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want people to like get woke fast and like just say no to this. It's horrible. And
maybe we should make a video or something and talk about it, and invite some of our other friends and previous guests to also post some videos, because it's the kind of thing that, I don't know how big news this is outside of like, I only know about it right now because people we know got casting notices. So I don't know if there's been big write-ups about it yet.
Right.
But I would love to see the fat activism community like show up and be like, look, this is not this, like, we see that you're going to recreate what was already broken.
Yeah.
Let's stop this.
I'm happy to email our guest list that have been here to the show and ask people to make a little video saying, you know what, like, just love yourself where you're at. You don't have to be tortured for entertainment. Yeah. No amount of money is worth it. Yeah. No amount of money is worth it. Having literally your metabolism tanked and then having to suffer that.
It's so destructive.
It's so destructive. Yeah. And no holistic approach is ever going to...
Right.
Like, how are you going to be holistic about the weight, how fast you want people to lose weight? Like, there's no way. Yeah. Especially if weight loss is the goal. It's not even, they're saying health is, but really you're not calling it the biggest, most healthiest person. You're calling it the biggest loser. You're not changing your brand.
Yeah. No, it's still, and I'm sure they're still going to be having people exercise to the point of puking and, injury.
A lot of them were injured.
Yeah. So
and they're not talking, and they weren't able to talk about it on the show. But a lot of them afterwards, after that NDR whatever ran out, they ended up talking about it.
Y'all.
Anyway, so thank God for Lizzo making something bright and shiny this
week.
She
really did.
Thank
always.
You, girl.
Thanks,
You're a guardian
Lizzo.
angel.
We love you.
Thank you. We have to get our guest out here.
We do.
You've already been having a kiki with her. I'm a little jelly.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
I'm going to tell you to have me on. I don't know what I could possibly
because I got
talk
to be
about,
on.
but
I got to be on her podcast called Woman of Size, and
which is so good.
It's so good, and we had a great conversation. And she's amazing. She is super funny, and I cannot wait to introduce you to her after the break.
Yeah, we're going to watch her right now.
After the break, we're going to watch right now Jana Schmieding, who is a Lakota Sioux stand-up comedian, and this is some of her stand-up. So enjoy.
I don't know. My name is Jana. My Lakota name is Wachi Washtewi, which translated into English means men are fucking trash! Fucking capitalism is a fucking monster! Don't fucking damn trash! Trash! Fucking trash! In that intonation. So you just learned your first Lakota term.
Oh my gosh, you guys, welcome to Plus This. Jana Schmieding, she is a Lakota Sioux writer and performer. She is the host of the Woman of Size podcast. She was a teacher in the Boogie Down Bronx for 10 years.
I was.
But is now out here in LA. She's writing about her body and her identity, and she's been featured on Huffington Post, Hello Giggles, Salty, Bust.com, Reductress. Basically, this girl is turned, y'all. Welcome,
and
Jana
such
Schmieding.
a beautiful writer.
Oh, so
and
good.
obviously so funny.
Thanks.
As a comedian.
Thanks.
And your podcast is in how many seasons now?
This is its second season. I did a first season totally by myself, and it's 36 episodes, a nice whole number of 36. And I was like, I literally can't do this by myself anymore.
Yeah.
So I shopped it around to a lot of podcast networks here in LA, and not a lot of success because the podcast network community is very male dominated. And Hoo Ha Ha, a media company that amplifies women in comedy, picked up my pod, and they've been wonderful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
36 is no joke.
No.
It's not really hard.
No. Our first season was 28, and I don't know how you... And I had a partner in that. I don't know how you did it.
If I had a co-host who was carrying half of the...
I'm not even carrying half, but the fact that the fact no, seriously, like I'm carrying like a quarter, so but like, and I'm already like with the quarter I'm carrying, I'm like, oh Jesus,
it's no joke.
So I can't imagine doing 36 on your own. That's crazy.
Yeah, and this season, so I'm in the second season. I just released the 17th episode of the second season, but we're going to 40 in this season. And I've already almost completely finished my interviews. There's a few spots left, Kathy, so don't you worry, girl. I'll get you on there.
Me?
We still have some room.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot, and I get to do something about the things that I think about all the time.
So tell us about, before the show started, one of your episodes got retweeted by someone kind of cool.
It got ruffaloed. My episode got ruffaloed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Elizabeth Banks founded Hoo Ha Ha, so she retweeted the episode and posted about it, and that was a huge boost to my morale and also my listenership. But a couple episodes in, I woke up in the morning and I saw that I had a bunch of notifications from Mark Ruffalo. It was wild.
And it was a good episode, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he retweeted the first episode of the second season, in which I interview a guest named Tate Walker, who is also a fat Lakota two-spirit person, and it was a really great episode, very informative. And Yeah, I tripped out. I texted everyone I knew, and I, had to brag about it. But then I went into my kitchen, and my refrigerator was broken.
Right. So. Oh, that's obviously
and
how
you
that
couldn't
goes.
call,
yes,
and you couldn't call Mark to.
And Mark was
it.
not available.
I was like, Mark, babe,
the refrigerator's broken.
you're gonna have to pick up a new fridge on the way home. I'm sorry, I don't know what is going on. It's like an old used fridge. Yeah, so I had like a meltdown. But yeah. It's been a really fun time.
What do you think is the thing that you learn? Like, what is your episode you think you're the most proud of, or that you learned the most?
Oh my God, that is such. I think about this question all the time because I'm learning so much in each episode. I mean, honestly, it's pretty wild how much I've learned, and this project that started as kind of a comedy project, amplifying women of size in comedy and in Hollywood, and kind of getting a dialogue about sizeism and weight-based stigma, size-based stigma in our culture. That has ended up becoming a bit more of like a research project on settler colonialism and the ways in which our suppressed histories has led to where we are now. So I personally like a lot of the more deep divey intellectual episodes. I just had Caleb Luna on the podcast this last week, and
Amazing
Caleb
Twitter account.
is a queer femme brown activist scholar and fat person, and he has been extremely informative on essentially linking the things in my mind that I have a hard time articulating because I'm not necessarily a scholar. But Caleb's work really revolves around identifying how stereotypes that were formed around Black women's bodies during enslavement and resulting from settler colonialism, that entire system and the transatlantic slave trade has led to the stereotypes that we apply to fat people now. So those same...
Absolutely linked. The Twitter feeds that he has given are incredible.
Incredible.
I've learned there are several scholars that I follow, and I will be like 38, 39. I'll keep reading. They will spell it out for you. And for someone who I like to think I'm academic, and then I actually talked to someone like Dr. John Paul last week who's an actual academic, and you're like, nope, I'm really not. I just like
I'm
being
a comedian.
near. I like being near.
I said
academics.
the word fuck like one too many times in this conversation because it's the only word I know.
But there's something about the Twitter bite-size thing that when they break it down in little bite-sized things, it's easier to digest. And I know people hate on Twitter because it's an awful, rotten place many, many times.
I do not know why people hate on Twitter.
But
I think it is really informative. And especially in the Native community, it's one of the only places. I mean, Native grandmas and aunties are like hardcore about Facebook. That's something that I've learned. But Native Twitter is a thing. And it's like really helped me to build like kind of an online community with Native folks that are scholars, activists, and on the political spectrum from like anarchists to, NASA scientists that are Native. So yeah, it's been a delightful online journey.
Yeah.
So tell us a little about how you identify. So in all of the different ways, and then how does that impact the comedy that you do and the writing that you do, and how does that all sort of work together?
Well, I think I am new to using the word fat as an identifier, but I do use it now. I used to use the word chubby, and I still understand that I have thin privilege in the spectrum of fatness. But I also identify as a Native woman. I am Lakota to my Native peers and family. But to like a non-Native community, I would just identify myself as Native or Indigenous. I use the word indigenous feminist because I do identify with feminism, and but I also recognize that feminism is also kind of a colonial construct. So there is some like wavering there in terms of in Native communities around the word feminism. But yeah, I'm a comedian. I'm an activist. I'm an educator. I'm a writer. I'm trying to be a screenwriter. I'm trying to tell Native stories from a point of view, Native point of view in Hollywood, which is makes me want to kill myself. It's really hard, but yeah,
it is hard. It
So
is hard.
The first time that
tough.
first time I ever saw you was the clip that we just showed from it was a show at UCB, and it was on Columbus Day. But the show was all Indigenous performers and writers, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen it. And you mentioned in your act that it was the first time that you'd ever been on a stage in a show that was all Native people.
Oh yeah.
So
I don't even know if I've ever been on a stage with one other Native person. Have I? I don't think so.
wow.
I don't think so. And I've been doing comedy for 15 years plus. So I have, I think the comedy scene is like, as I'm sure you've experienced, Nikki, pretty white. And it was a delight. Yeah, it was an Indigenous Peoples Day, like comedy variety hour at UCB. It was really, and it was delightful. It was really fun.
Yeah.
Props to Joey Clift who put it up.
Yeah.
Good job, Joey.
Absolutely.
That's good. Can we talk about your writing a little bit?
We can.
You wrote a piece where you said that a sex worker came onto your show and was talking about how you could support them. And they said, well, you have to make it that it's normal, like to not make it salacious. And if you took your own photos that were a little bourgeois, that would actually help her community. And I thought that, first of all, blew my mind.
Totally blew my mind too.
And you wrote about how the way they talked about their work and about how it's healing and therapeutic and all that, and that is a point of view we don't get.
Yeah.
And I would love to, to talk more about that. I mean, even I, back in the day, used to always have this thing. She'd be like, I want to do a lingerie ad, but you wouldn't want to do it. And, I'm a little bit older than her. And I was just like in a place where I was like, I wouldn't want to do it. I just feel too grown. And now we went to that Vegas pool party. And now I'm like, bring on the naked picture. Like all of a sudden I feel like
because even before that you were like, I'm not wearing a bikini. And but like I, on the other hand, I'm like the total exhibitionist. I cannot wait for us to do a sketch where I get to be on stage naked.
Yeah, it's all you want to do.
And so but what I loved about this amazing article, Why I Take Sexy Videos of My Native Body, that was on saltyworld.com. What I love about it, first of all, it's beautifully written.
Gorgeous.
It so speaks to, on an emotional level, like all of the thought process that I ever have about sex and dating men and being and feeling desirable and it's so beautifully written and speaks to all those things. Were you freaked out about the idea that these pictures of you in your boudoir yummy nakedness were going to be on the interwebs?
I was really freaked out, and I picked ones that didn't show a lot of my body because I was freaked out. Like, I'm still freaked out that it's floating around out there. I mean, listen, I quit teaching. I'm making it impossible to go back. Right. And I did it in that article. I really trapped myself in it, but I did it on purpose.
Miss Jana's in this paper.
Holy shit, Miss S is naked. It was a really, it was exciting. It's exciting in the way that taking those kinds of pictures is both scary and intimidating as an adult woman, as a fat adult woman. It's fucking scary, and it's also exciting and like it felt really fun. I did it with Laura Delarado, who has been a guest on my season 1 of my podcast, but has writes for a Refinery 29, and she's like dabbled kind of in sex parties and like just like exploring sexuality and sensuality. And so she took the pictures for me, and she was a great photographer. And now I know if any fat people want to take like DIY photos, boudoir photos, you do what Laura did, and you just stand there with a camera and just say, holy shit, this looks amazing. Oh my God. Oh, you should sell these. You should sell these. Men would pay thousands of dollars for these. And I was just like, really? Wow. I just felt like
that was I laughed out loud.
I did too.
What she actually said was, you should charge men $1,000 to look at you.
To look at you.
Is
to
what
look
she
at you.
I loved it. Oh my God.
Yes.
But
maybe she even said for you to look at them. Maybe that's what she said. It was so brilliant. I was peeing myself.
It's wild to think that there are people in this world that have those kinds of experiences normally. I mean, I doubt it's as normal as I imagine it is for straight sized people, but the idea of the experience of feeling desired by the gender that I'm attracted to, which is also shifting in my discussions about sexuality.
Woo-hoo,
and
welcome to our world. Yeah, to my world. Yeah.
I am changing my minds. Okay. Yeah, it's but the experience, and that's kind of why I wrote the article, was because the experience of being desired, authentically desired by men, is something that's really foreign to me. I don't really. I see myself in the mirror and I think I'm a beautiful woman. I'm a woman, and I don't dislike what I see. And I think I'm attractive, and I think I have a great personality. I mean, I have a great personality.
My God. You absolutely do.
I have a winning personality. But I really do think that men are trained to not see fat women or fat people as attractive,
or if they do,
yes,
they're ashamed.
They're ashamed.
They live in shame about
and
it.
I've had discussions with people. 2 episodes ago on my podcast, I had a great episode with Ashley Tribble, who has worked in a dungeon, and she's done some sex work, but she's also, just like her online. If you follow her at Ashley Chubby Bunny, she just posts images of fat women in lingerie, just looking the sexiest, And it's like, and we talked a lot about the ways in which we're not actually having conversations, even in sex positive spaces. We're not having conversations about the exclusion of fat bodies in sex positivity.
We're really not
really
and
true.
and it's really unfortunate because that silencing results in mistreatment of fat bodies sexually, and the amount of times I can talk, to my fat friends and my fat peers, and the stories that we're sharing about sex are not the same as the stories that I'm sharing with my straight size peers. They're sad and dark.
Yeah.
And we're not having good sex.
Yeah.
So all of that is interconnected, and it's kind of why I wrote this article, is because in the same way that fat bodies are mistreated sexually, I think that Native bodies, because being a Native person, being an Indigenous person, is also a silenced experience. It's a history of erasure, and that erasure leads to some really, really unfortunate data and statistics and experiences around, everything that sexual violence and human trafficking, and there's the experience of being a Native woman is either sexualized and fetishized as a fat experience, it might be, and it's also not talked about. We're not having these conversations as Native women either.
Yeah.
So
we have a lot to make up for. I'm sorry. As the white person here, I'm really sorry.
Damn
it moves me to tears hearing you talk about it. It actually to my core upsets me, because there's nothing that could be more true than that.
Yeah.
And that the people who were so generous when we got here, they were so generous to us, and that we just can't. And then in all this talk of reparations and like them having the big, thing today, it's like, if you do not have encounter with that, like, sidestep with what we've done to Native people and what they deserve to.
Yeah.
Ooh, let's take a break so I can get it together. But then I want to talk about her other article too.
And I want to talk about her amazing Etsy shop.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So many things. We're going to take a quick break.
Promotional consideration provided by Scrubs Body, an all-female-owned business giving you permission to pamper in jars and bottles. Now with a brick-and-mortar location at 245 Main Street in Farmingdale, New York. Still available online at scrubsbody.com.
So if you do plus this gift, if you put in plus this gift, people who are listening only on a podcast, you can get a free gift from Scrubs, which I used today, and
she used today, and she made us all touch her skin.
I feel amazing.
I haven't used mine yet. I'm very excited.
And it's like a ginger one, and it's like my favorite smell ever. It's delish.
Don't you sometimes want to eat your lotion and your body scrubs?
This is so natural. It is
and
edible.
You can eat it.
I'm not even
really
kidding.
Can. Yeah.
It's like the bath salts.
They're things. Well, this is a sugar. This is a sugar scrub. It's a sugar. So it's that. And they used to say, safe enough for your public parts and your private parts.
Ooh, I don't know if I want to put sugar up there.
I'm not putting any sugar in my private parts.
I'm just saying,
it's sweet enough.
If you needed some exfoliating, you could do that.
Did you see what I just did?
I might have missed the full frontal. Oh, yes.
That part
That's my sexy look. My lucky girlfriend gets to see me make this face.
Oh my God. People who aren't watching are missing out on everything.
That's why you need to
We're going to make a GIF of that.
Yeah,
we're just going to make a
GIF. Not just listen to the podcast. You need to watch the vlog.
There's a lot of videos. So this is at like minute 40. So around minute 40, you get to see all that. You can fast forward if you're listening.
Okay, so let's get into the other favorite article that we loved.
That I want to see you perform it actually as like a spoken word piece.
Ooh.
It was I so clearly heard your voice reading it.
I did perform it. Well, I read it on an episode of the pod. Oh boy, I don't even remember. Do you want me to read it? It's like a 7-minute read.
It's too long to read right now,
but
we are going to have you on Fatch as a guest performer on our Fat Sketch Comedy show.
What?
And then you can do it then, or you can do something else, whatever you want to do.
You're totally a member
but
of
the
Fatch
article,
Comedy now.
You're totally a member.
You're totally in.
I actually asked her in the very beginning, but she was too busy because I have been stalking her for quite some time.
And these stalkers of yours. We're totally stalker fans.
I've been. That is why I went to that show, that Indigenous people show, because I had heard about you, had never seen you perform, and I was like, I'm gonna go to see you. But the article's called "To All the Chubby Native Nieces from Your Chepa Auntie." How do you say that? Chepa Auntie. So tell us, first of all, it reads like a love letter from your, like, it's just like I imagined you reading it, but like in that moment, I was like, it's such a lovely auntie thing. It's like that, that aunt who is the one that keeps it 100% real with you. You know that aunt, the one who takes you to get your ears pierced when you're not supposed to have them pierced. The aunt that takes you for a tattoo or gives you your first drink, usually Goldschlager. Anyway, that's the auntie who wrote this article. And it is, tell us about, like, why did you feel like you needed to be the one to write this article?
Well, I will say that in Native cultures, in the Lakota culture specifically, but I'm sure this is true in most Native nations, auntie culture is lit. Like, it is the shit. Like, womanhood is honored in a different way than it is in our mainstream white culture, where we, usually in here's how I view mainstream white culture. We treat our moms like shit. Like the narrative is like, you hate your mom, fuck you, mom, slam the door, run away, like, oh, our moms, all that they've done to us, which I don't buy into. And then our cool dads, we got a cool dad, and he's fine, but he like doesn't put in a lot of work. Am I totally off base?
No, you're I'm with you.
But the way that we relate to each other in Native cultures, in Indigenous cultures, is much more, it speaks to the term, it takes a village. And every adult carries equal weight in the raising of our children. And I think that opens up a lot of doors for the ways that we can relate to each other, aunties and uncles as second parents, and grandparents as second parents, and, sharing the burden. And I was raised by an amazing auntie, several amazing aunties. And I, as a single woman who doesn't have children, consider myself to be an amazing auntie. I try really hard to be an amazing auntie. It's a big responsibility for all the fun reasons that you named, because aunties are cool as hell. They fit a sacred role that a parent can sometimes not fit into. But I also think that the role of the auntie is to tell it like it is, and to, with no judgment, to help usher maturity into the lives of young people. And I wrote this because in my family, it has been acceptable to be the size that we are as a family. And in a lot of Native families that I know, there's a lot of chubby people. And chepa is the Lakota word for fat or chubby. And I think it's a kinder word than fat. Fat is an English word, and it's laced with a lot of subjugation, and it just has a lot of, it's been good to reclaim it and to bring it back into the fold, and to like kind of revitalize the term, but it still has some pain attached to it. So I really like the word chepa. Because it doesn't really have that weight. Pun intended.
Can you please make a Chepa t-shirt and can we wear
I'm
it?
thinking about it.
Yeah, you should.
I also love the Gorda ones.
Yeah.
I also like that word.
Yeah,
too.
me too.
So I know that we have so much to still talk about.
I know. But Etsy.
So this woman, not only is she funny AF and write all kind of awesome stuff and is a great performer, she also is a beautiful bead artist who makes the most beautiful jewelry on her Etsy shop. I did not spend no money because I was legit hoping she'd bring us gifts. But whatever. Anyway, tell us about your...
I did bring gifts.
Oh my
I did bring gifts.
Is what you're wearing something you made?
I
Oh
made...
my God, it is so
bolo
pretty.
ties. This is a bolo from a Milky Way themed bolo
Gorgeous.
line. And this is the planet Neptune with like a little tree branch in front of it, as if you're looking at it from a distance. I also made these earrings. I wear all of my own stuff.
Yes, you should.
Actually, I only sell my beadwork so that I can buy other people's beadwork. I just really love beadwork. Well, I made you both some pride-related.
Oh my God, that's
earrings.
so exciting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
Happy
my
Pride Month,
God,
everybody.
they're
Happy
cute.
Pride
Oh
Month.
my God, I love.
They are so fun
Come
to
out
get
of the
in.
thing. Oh my gosh, look
see
how
them?
pretty. Ooh, I love them.
They're real cute.
There's hoops. There's that style's called chandelier, but I call them shandies.
I love them both, and I'm actually going to borrow Kathy's too.
She is. She is. Do you want to know why? Because I have a sad story. My ears aren't pierced.
Aw, that's
I
a shame.
know. They've been. She don't care. She gonna take them.
I wish I would have thought of that. A lot of people. I've found out a lot of people don't have their ears
I've
pierced.
had them pierced twice.
Oh no.
Once when I was 5 and once when I was 10, and both times very terrible circumstances, they closed up.
Aww.
So I
know
just
what?
was
I
blessed.
don't want
you
you
know
to be
what?
re-traumatized. I'm gonna take these off your hands.
You take them.
over here.
You can give them as a gift to somebody,
I think
an
I-
LGBTQIA person in your
I think
life.
I just gave them
as
to
a gift to
Nikki.
Yeah, was that a gift? I don't know. Let's see.
I think she's gonna wear them. The
But
rest of
when
the
I
month.
have you on the podcast, then I'll make you a bracelet or something that you can actually wear.
That is so
That is
lovely.
the nicest and so unnecessary because I will buy something.
Yeah.
That
Yes, I'm gonna
bowler
buy
thing.
something, too.
Yeah, the bolos are really fun.
It's
I actually
really
for a
great.
while I was like, I can't wear this because my boobs are too big, and I thought it was gonna hang
No,
strangely.
I
and
love
it looks
It looks
now
great.
I'm kind of down with it, like drawing attention to my little sleeve right there.
And I also had not known that you could wear a bolo without a collar shirt. So like
Yeah,
now I'm like,
right.
oh my gosh,
Yes.
that's so cute. I love it.
Yes, my Etsy store is called City Indian. It's city, the word city, and then NDN, which is colloquial spelling
good.
of Indian.
That was really good.
Woo! It's those big words. I'm not a scholar. I said.
Well, we're gonna talk about Hot Topic anyway. It's gonna make us
Wait,
mad.
before we go,
Oh, what?
I want to mention one other thing.
Yeah, tell me.
That last week we had Dr. John Paul on the show, who is going to have an article in the upcoming book, The Other F Word.
Oh, duh.
And Jana is also has a chapter in the upcoming book, The Other F Word. And I wanted to make sure that we mention that because we are so hyped about this book. It's got a young adult focus, and it's all articles and pieces written by fat folks for young fat folks. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, that's so great. Did you do something completely new?
Completely new. Yeah, I wrote a little essay about my experience growing up in an all-white school, and but being a native person who was a part of two worlds, and kind of the switching back and forth, and what body image was seen, how it was experienced in one world, and how it was experienced in another. So
That's fantastic. Do people have feel a certain way when you say that you are Native? Like, are people surprised?
do people? Here's the common response when people say I'm Native. Me too.
What?
Which is also in her stand up. You gotta hear her do this whole thing. It's so amazing.
People want to be Native so bad, but they don't want to have the whole weight,
true.
the baggage.
It's true. Black people all claim that we have some Native in our ancestry.
But you know what?
But
there
very
is a
likely
real
do.
history.
But very likely do.
Yes.
But like we all claim it because partly because the stigmatization of blackness is hard enough. So we want Native people is pretty. We want some good looking
Lighten it
Native
up a
people in it. And we just want to add it. We want to add some additional trauma to our history. But like part of it is I think that like for black folks we want to claim that good hair and so like if we can say we have Native ancestry, then we can be like, oh, that's why my hair be laying. But like
That's my Native side.
but it's also highly possible that
It is much more possible,
that we would have it.
I do think that as Americans in general, the quickness with which a person, Elizabeth Warren, can just claim Native identity using 23andMe or my great grandma rule, or whatever kind of authentication people want to make up. What it does is it takes up space in an already very small environment where the small communities that we have where we're like, we need resources so bad, and then non-natives come in, we call them pretendians, they pretend to be natives and they use up those damn resources. We need them, and we're active in our communities and and making sure that we're being able to reach back and help others, and we can't do that if it's too crowded.
Your great-great-grandmommy might possibly have maybe been Choctaw don't mean you actually get to claim it.
No.
So
No.
that's my family story. We're like, nah, because Grandma so-and-so is Choctaw. And remember, we got that picture of her. Remember that picture? Can't nobody find that picture. We don't know where that picture is.
Oh my god.
I still believe it. I believe it more than most. So, I don't know.
I have a very dear friend who found out that her great grandmother was African American, and like it was like a photo that she was like, Mom, that's your grandma? And she's like, yeah. She's like, that is a black woman. And that's just, she's black. Like, it's no denying it.
Right.
Ty Burrell got, he did that PBS, was that?
Finding Your Roots is my favorite show.
And he has a black grandmother, a great grandmother.
Yeah. And she was like, we've never talked about that. And, you know, but she's not walking around being like, I'm black now.
Black.
You know what I mean? There's like a way.
She ain't out here Rachel Dolezal.
I mean, thank God. Don't do it.
Just there's like, but like not even. They were like Dutch or something. Where they were like full on Holland born
like wooden
people.
shoes.
It's real, like whatever. Anyway,
Swiss mix.
Motherfuckers. I mean, she just really
making your hot chocolate.
Her mom and dad came out, and everyone was like, whoa, like this is really trippy. That was crazy. I we're having a great time. I do want to talk about this because I feel like you two are like two of the people I would love to hear what you had to say about this. Oh, Eric Garner.
Oh,
you know, this happened on Staten Island where I went to school. And so the culture on Staten Island is already a thing, like the racist culture.
Yes,
it's already a thing. So, and then having the police be involved in that, nobody was surprised. And when the whole Eric Garner thing happened and the video went out, it was, I mean, I knew the block that he died on. It's like on the way to the ferry, and I would go to the ferry to go into Manhattan all the time in school. So it's already like horrific and horrifying, and like watching something that's like, I mean, it's almost your eyes don't accept it because you can't believe it's happened. And then so now the family is suing the city or the police department that these guys were a part of, and their fucking lawyer actually said these words. A 395-pound Garner's choice, it was his choice to resist arrest, combined with his fraught medical history, led to his death. He died from being morbidly obese, prompting shocked snickers and disgusted headshakes in the courtroom. And he was a ticking time bomb that resisted arrest. If he was put in a bear hug, it would have been the same outcome.
So what they're saying, so I didn't even read the article. I actually saw the article, sent it to Kathy, and said, I can't read this. And she said, the article's worse than you even think it is. So I didn't even read the article. If, just for the sake of argument, if he was in poor health, we don't even know. But if he was, when somebody jumps on your back and chokes you, you die. I don't care how much you weigh, you die if someone is choking you to the point and you can't breathe. That man, someone was on his back and took him to the ground over some loosies? And now you're going to try to tell me that the reason he died is because he was fat and not because there was a cop on his back strangling him to death?
And by the way, if he was, and like you said, go with the argument, if he was so sick, if he was so unhealthy, why in God's name would you do that to him anyway?
Right. Yeah.
Why did you need to do that? He's really sick and crazy, going to drop dead any second because he's obese, but he's also super strong
and resisting arrest, so
superhuman, we have to, like, it's like this fucked. It's so fucked. And the fact that they could sit in a courtroom and actually say this is a defense. This is literally their defense.
Yeah.
Was that it was a suicide.
It's disgusting.
It really like kind of it's almost like the synthesis of this like research that I've kind of been embarking on in my podcast. And also, you know, there are people Stephanie Strings. Oh God, I'm gonna blow her name right now. But there's an author who wrote a book called "Fearing the Black Body: The Racial Origins of Fat Phobia," and it's about this tying fat phobia to the original stereotypes of black slaves, women in particular. And this situation, this Eric Garner situation, is to the T, the essence. It's merging the rhetoric, the racial rhetoric the unimportance, the devaluing of a black person's body, and the devaluing of a fat person's body, and the in the same way that we have this rhetoric in medicine where black women have a higher pain tolerance, or we don't believe fat people when they go into the doctor. We prescribe weight loss for a sore throat, or all of these things.
Yahoo News just posted something. I didn't even put it on. I was like, it's too much. But literally posted something about a woman who had problem with like spinal fluid, and her experience, what she had to go through at the doctor, it was like I was reading a horror novel.
Yeah.
And this was just something she wrote for Yahoo News.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and this is common. I mean, we've all experienced it, and it's just but in this case, the fact that this person is using it to the snickering of a courtroom is like, it just, to me, makes me, it breaks my heart. It makes me feel hopeless, and it at the same time, it makes me feel motivated, like we have so much work to do. And yet we're so far from the idea of fat liberation. We're so far still. And at the same time, we can't experience fat liberation until we experience black liberation.
Yeah.
The two must go hand in hand.
It's so
linked.
Yes.
The whole
Sabrina Strings.
Thank you.
Sabrina
Thank you.
Strings.
Yeah. It is completely aligned. And the only thing I can say is, now that this stupid case is made in a courtroom, that it's in court documents, maybe it can help us make the case for actually getting rights. Do you know what I mean? Like, since they have brought it into...
This is what people actually believe.
Right.
Yeah.
That people believe that fat people are so near death because just by basis of obesity, just the fact that we're heavy, and fat bodies are devalued to such a point that we are just considered the walking dead, that our lives aren't even worth, their lives are worth nothing, and you can just kill us. Yeah. Because our lives are worth nothing.
And now that this is on the record in like this space, in this justice system space, then maybe it is something that actually can be used for our benefit, to say this is why we need these rights, because this is disgusting. One of my other things, because like I don't have enough things to do, I really do want to start a lobby for, and I know that there is, I'm sure I could join one. I'm sure there is one out there. I have to just join. But I want to do like a fat rights lobby. Like, we need to lobby Congress, especially about the medical community. Like that. Like, that's something that like actually needs to happen. And you cannot hear these things over and over again. It's ridiculous. Yeah. We're out of time. Damn it. And I'm so mad.
Why do we always run out of time?
I know. I'm sorry, Ryan. We went over. But tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find the podcast on anywhere that you listen to podcasts, iTunes podcasts. I appreciate a rate, review, and subscribe. The podcast is called Woman of Size. You can also find me on the socials at Woman of Size Pod on both Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
You make it easy. Do you have any stand-up gigs coming up that we should know about?
I don't have a lot of stand-up gigs coming out because I'm really trying to hone my sketch comedy career and become a screenwiter. And
how dare you? How dare you do sketch somewhere else? I mean,
but you know what? You get a piece of me every week. Lay off! God.
She's going to be a guest star in Fatch Guys. Yes, that's all I have to say. You can find us everywhere at Plus This Show, including Patreon, where we put extra after the show content. We're going to make a little video with dear Jana here, probably because we have 18 million more things to talk about. And obviously, like, subscribe and share. That always helps us out. And anything fat you want to talk about, let us know. Holla. Facebook is hot. So, oh my God, why is my friend calling me? Don't you know I have a show?
She thinks you're done because we have a number. You guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Same time. Plus this.
Bye.